California Representative Eric Swalwell says he will step down from his post in Congress. The move comes after the Democratic lawmaker faced calls for expulsion because several women accused him of sexual assault and other misconduct. Now, in a statement, Swalwell called the accusations false and vowed to fight them. He also said expelling anyone in Congress without due process within days of an allegation being made is wrong, but he added, it's wrong from my constituents to have me distracted from my duties. Now, just a short time ago, an accuser of Swalwell's held a news conference in Beverly Hills. She went public with her allegations that Swalwell raped her back in 2018. Her attorney says she'll file a police report about the incident today. Here's some of what else she had to say.
We were supposed to go to a political event, and he said he needed to get paperwork from his hotel room. When I arrived at his hotel room, I was already incapacitated and I couldn't move my arms or my body. He raped me and he choked me. And while he was choking me, I lost consciousness. And I thought I died.
We have team coverage on this. Standing by for us is CBS News congressional reporter Taurean. But first, let's start with CBS News chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes, who spoke to other Swalwell accusers. Nancy, what did they tell you?
They told me that they've spoken to more than one other woman whose story sounds a lot like Lana Drew's, the woman whose sound you just played. In their cases, two of the women I spoke to said that he befriended them when they were just starting out. They were in their early 20s. He was a powerful congressman. He offered to mentor them. They were surprised and delighted that he was striking up a friendship with them. But then in both cases, he asked them to move their conversation over to Snapchat, which is an app where pictures and messages get deleted very quickly after they are seen. And that was when they both said that the relationship turned sexual and suggestive. In one case, he asked one of the women to go to meet him in a hotel room. In another case, he sent a woman a picture of his genitals. And after that, they didn't really reciprocate, and the conversations petered out. And for years, they kept quiet because they weren't sure there were other women like them. They weren't sure they'd be believed if they came forward. And what really surprised them over the past week is that once they started to share their stories, there were so many women who started DMing them, messaging them to say that they had had similar experiences. And so now that Swalwell has dropped out of the California governor's race, is planning to resign from Congress, I asked them what they want to see going forward, or is this enough for them? Take a listen to what they...
The fact that he has now dropped out of the governor's race and resigned from Congress, is that justice in your view?
No, it's just the beginning. It's just the very beginning. And I know personally that we're not walking away from this fight.
For me, justice won't be until he can't ever harm a woman ever again, and he has faced the consequences for the women that he has harmed.
I think in regards to the governor's race, he never should have ran for governor to begin with, knowing the kind of history and receipts that are out there. So that's a non-starter. And then in terms of Congress, I think he absolutely should have resigned. I think we just prevented another 30 to 40 years potentially of him harming people if he were to stay in Congress.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think we have served justice for his future victims.
Wow.
That won't exist anymore.
And that was a really powerful last point. In fact, that is exactly what motivated one of those women, Annika Albrecht, to come forward in the first place. She said she wasn't planning on sharing her story, but when she saw Swalwell running for governor of California, rising to the top of the pack, she just felt that she needed to say something because she worried there would be a new wave of women who experienced things like she did.
Yeah, and Nancy, I think it's safe to say these are some very, very serious allegations. It's kind of uncomfortable hearing some of the details, but we know that he is now resigning. He says he's going to resign. He has stepped down from the governor race here in California. But then where do things stand for him legally going forward?
Well, the Manhattan District Attorney has confirmed that it is investigating one allegation, a woman who says that she was raped in a hotel room in New York. You're now hearing from Lona Drews as well. And so, you know, these criminal allegations are just getting started. There is a House Ethics Committee investigation that was opened yesterday that will probably peter out if and when he does resign from Congress. And then, you know, there will also be questions having to do with his campaign and campaign funds.
Yeah.
Is he going to return those? Is he in debt? All of those kinds of questions as well, even as we await an actual firm date of when it is that he plans to step down from Congress.
Okay, Nancy Cord is at the White House for us today. Thank you so much for that interview and for your reporting today. Appreciate it. And you can watch more of Nancy's exclusive interview, excuse me, on CBSNews.com and tonight on the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel. Okay, let's go live to Capitol Hill now and CBS News congressional reporter Taurean Small. Taurean, so the House Ethics Committee started an investigation into Swalwell, but then he says he's going to resign. So how does that play into this process? Does that put an end to it completely?
Yeah, assuming that he resigns effective immediately, that's no longer under the committee's jurisdiction, which is the biggest concern from lawmakers who were calling for his ouster. But ultimately, that has been used in the past as a tactic to push out lawmakers. They would, the committee would say that they have findings that they could threaten to release if they don't step down, which is why we see many lawmakers in the past do that. But as it relates to this, whether or not leadership is on board with the investigation or the congressional investigation continuing. This is what we heard from lawmakers today. They didn't exactly say whether or not they wanted it to go forward, but they did agree that Swalwell made the right move by resigning. Take a listen.
What are your comments on the Swalwell allegations?
It's horrific. I mean, we've all said that. I've said it many times, and I think it's the right result.
Mr. Leader, do you have any indication of when we may see a formal resignation on the floor from Congressman Swalwell?
I do not have that indication. We expect that the resignation letter will be submitted today.
And Mr. Jeffries, Leader Jeffries, do you believe that Congressman Swalwell and Congress and Congressman Gonzalez made the right decision in resigning?
Yes.
Now, even though Swalwell said he'll be resigning soon, he didn't exactly give a timeline. Right. Representative Anna Paulina Luna of Florida said that she's giving him until 2 p.m. today to officially resign, or else she'll be moving forward with her resolution to expel him. I should also point out that Representative Fernandez of New Mexico, a Democrat, is also asking for Tony Gonzalez, a Republican, to step down immediately as well, or else she would be going forward with her respective resolution as well.
Yeah, and Taurean, let's stick with that there, because Swalwell clearly is not the only lawmaker that's facing calls for expulsion. So I really want to talk about Representative Tony Gonzalez here and his expulsion vote. Where are things on that? Is that going to move forward? I know you kind of just touched on that a bit there.
Yeah, assuming that he does step down, that wouldn't necessarily happen. But I got to say, there are still a handful of lawmakers under the microscope at this point. There are 2 Florida congresspeople who are being talked about to be removed next. That's Sherfilis McCormick, a Democrat, and Corey Mills, a Republican. McCormick had gone through an ethics committee investigation where they found that she was guilty of money laundering. As a criminal investigation continues, and then for Corey Mills, he's being accused of not just sexual misconduct as relates to women, but also benefiting from weapons contracts while in office. There are a handful of bipartisan lawmakers saying that they would still like to see them removed or resigned as well. So we'll be watching that closely as that continues.
We know you will. Taurean Small on Capitol Hill, thank you for your time today.